We have two amazing guests today, and we have Brad Weaber and Bill McGlade with us, and we're going to be talking about a lot of things, a lot of exciting. I mean, you guys have this very long description of what you do. So, Brad, you're described as the veteran in management roles for over 30 years, and so I think we're going to be talking a lot about, you know, how you see this change and the role of, you know, leadership in what we do. And I know you're closely knit with destinations and all this, so this is going to be great. As you specialize in leadership, motivation, speaking, coaching, and Bill, the co-owner and president of epIQ Creative Group, Community Leaders. Did I say it wrong or? epIQ. Okay.
That's okay. Everyone says epIQ.
Okay.
So I might have to just change it to that, so it's okay.
Yeah, because it must be a large L then.
We help out with the IQ of marketing.
Oh, okay. And you've been leveraging your 17 years of experience with nonprofits, associations, events. I think we're going to have, you know, a conversation all together that kind of goes to those edges of our industry, which is actually where the most exciting things are happening. So what would you guys say? So it's a double question. Okay. What should we be all kind of considering as the next thing in our industry?
Well, from my perspective, I think, first of all, I think that one of the most important things that we hear every day is everything to do with AI and the work that's happening around AI. It's moving so fast, and while it's affecting so many other organizations, so many other marketing areas now, the meeting industry needs to grab a hold of it really fast because it is moving super fast. So I think that's a key. I also think that we need to really look at creating community, not just community while we're at an event, but creating community 365 days a year. You know, we have this vibrancy here at IMEX, but we leave here and we all get on airplanes again and we're like, oh, we'll see you maybe in Vegas or back here. How do we keep everything like this energy going? So I think creating community is also very much so.
100%. And to tackle onto the AI component of it, the saying is, you're not going to lose your job because of AI. You'll lose your job to somebody who's using AI. And the reason for that is it's making people 30, 40, 50% more productive and able to do a lot more, focus on the bigger tasks that they actually want to handle, while AI is actually focusing on the others. I specifically created a marketing strategy prompt for the industry for GPT-4, and we're passing it out for free actually to everybody. I also made GPT-4 my assistant. And so I trained it to act like me, to speak like me, to understand the industry, right? Now that it's able to scrape the web and do all that too. It understands everything that I'm inputting into it now, to the point that it can almost be me and help me be 40% more productive in everyday life of what I'm doing. So that's just the AI component of it, and Brad mentioned the community, but the other thing is, we've been talking about this for, I don't know, 5 to 10 years now. Organizations, associations, events, everybody needs to stop focusing on event-led and become content-led. Content marketing is not going away. They thought maybe that was a fad, but it's not. And social media has proven all of that, and the world basically has proven through all the micro communities that are going on. People want to consume content how they want, where they want, whenever they want. And so by becoming content-led, it actually almost forces you to become community-led as well, because what you're doing is you're taking all of these sessions, or you're going live like this, and you're repurposing it for afterwards. And then you're selling it either on demand to those that couldn't make it, or you're having everyone that was here that couldn't attend a session because there was a concurrent one, be able to actually see that session afterwards. And so you're creating a community. You don't necessarily need a forum or a chat area for them to converse, but you need to be able to engage with them throughout the entirety of the year, not just these 3 to 5 days.
Yeah. So what can we learn from Netflix, for example?
A lot. Do you want to tackle? So Netflix, most people don't, I think, truly understand how Netflix disrupted the entire industry. And Julius Solaris says this a lot, actually, and I do hope that people are actually listening to him more when he says it, because When he puts together the content-led focus for associations as well, it's a huge focus on having a Netflix on-demand library, because people, again, want to consume when they want, where they want, how they want, and that's it. And that's exactly what Netflix has done.
You know, I agree. It's so fascinating now, when having been in the industry for almost 38 years and watched the evolution, and Bill's exactly right. I mean, when you think about how we consume information now, and we also take it in smaller bites, so it's like, again, it's like, how do we choose it? How do we consume it? And how do you repurpose it? And, you know, it's funny, you can lay on your couch and have episode after episode after episode, you just keep going, but yet you struggle sometimes to bring people into a meeting. So it's a very, very dynamic shift. So
Definitely.
There's one actually really good example that people can look at. It's a completely digital conference. It's called AdWorld, and they do an amazing job of making everything Netflix style. I'm literally putting my kids to sleep with my headphones in, and I'm watching a marketing video on how to do X, Y, and Z from a respected person in the industry while laying in bed, because it's literally a Netflix-style platform for them.
Amazing. But look, we have an amazing word for meetings in Slovenian language. It's called srečanja. In the word itself, it's happiness. So the meaning of what we are doing, that's what I'm saying to my staff actually, is that we bring happiness to the people with our events. So what can you say about it? We are the only language with such a beautiful word for the meetings industry.
Not the only language. Srpski. Ti si baš srećen. Hey. So, I got stuck in Serbian. Repeat that question for me.
It's okay. So, the meaning of what we are doing is bringing happiness.
Yeah.
So, is this still true, or it's, what does it mean to you?
I think I'm an optimist, so I'm always believe that what we do is bringing happiness. But there's so much more. I mean, when you look around and you look at what's happening right now, we're bringing education, we're bringing happiness, we're bringing connection. You know, we live in a very difficult world right now, and it gives me such hope to be somewhere like here, where we see all these countries coming together and doing this work. We're also the most misunderstood industry, because we bring happiness to others through our economic engine. I mean, most countries don't realize how much what we do drives the overall economic engine. So I think we bring happiness through many, many layers of what we do.
So I want to do an opposing view to that, and this is why Brad and I actually get along so well, because we can have these conversations and not agree. Yeah. So I don't think that it's our job to make other people happy. I think it's your own job as your own individual person to make yourself happy. And so if we're the ones trying to provide happiness through any style of event or content, we're going to fail, because we can't cater to every unique individual. It just doesn't work that way. And then when we've tried to cater to groups, right, or people that like certain interests, it didn't work, because then we started bucketing people and categorizing them, and they didn't appreciate it. So for us to try and make everybody happy, it's not logical for me. Like, you just can't do it. You have to make yourself happy. And you can do that by coming to the events with all the amazing experiences, but it's up to you, not the organizer.
The way that you were, explaining the Netflix phenomenon and binge watching stuff, perhaps we should be looking at, coming to an event like IMEX is binge watching IMEX for basically 3 days. What you said, I think, is very powerful there, and it is to create an event. And of course, as an industry, you always struggle with creating something that somebody cannot buy off the market, but yet somehow through virtual media, through Instagram especially, there is a demand that people want to go to locations where they will see exactly what everybody else is trying to see. So, you see this beautiful view, but then you don't see the 3,000 people behind you, like the Mount Everest pictures, which becomes like I think everybody has a cringe moment and goes like, there's a problem there. how do you see basically changing that desire of humans to do what everybody else is doing? And can we do it?
You can't.
Yeah, you can. I mean, so
You're going to change my biological,
absolutely
instinctual makeup?
This is why we have a comedy show. Okay. So it is. It's about risk taking. You know, I think so many times when we're trying to create things, we're trying to copy things, and we're not taking enough risk. And you know, I believe that. Again, I'm the eternal optimist of the two of us. I believe that even the most contrary, difficult times is when good progress happens. So I think, honestly, the pandemic was awful. I mean, but it level set us, it reset us to try new things. And so I believe that what we have to be careful is that we don't. I use this analogy all the time. There's a reason why the windshield of a car is much bigger than the rearview mirror. You need the rearview mirror to occasionally check behind you, but you need that big glass in front of you to see what's going in front. So I believe that it's looking forward, it's trying new things, maybe turn that car this way or this way or this way, but I think we have to be careful that we're not taking enough risk and that we go back to safety. So.
Great analogy.
You're in marketing, right? So one of the best marketing strategies and tactics that are out there is to make sure that you're social proofing yourself, because what do people innately want to do? They just want to follow others. That's what they are instinctually born to do. Then you have the others that are born to be leaders, right? Because they kind of go as the outlier. But if social media has taught us anything, right, it's a re-emphasis on the fact that people want to do what other people are doing. And it makes them feel happier in their own little way. And that it's a marketing strategy. That's why you put all your testimonials on your website. That's why you do all this, because the moment you do that, it's like, oh, these people trust him, right? Let's try it out because they trust it. And so that's why it's before social media, it was always happening. If social media ever ceases to exist, it will still happen, and it doesn't matter. You're never going to change that instinctual thing, because it's not just humans.
But I also think, I hear you,
Yeah.
but I also think that social media has also created a falseness.
Yes.
It's always, do you put a picture of yourself when you look terrible? Do you put pictures out there like I'm having the worst day ever? No, always everybody seems perfect. So you're aspiring all the time for this. And so I think what's happened with social media is it's forcing us to put ourselves out there in a different way, and we're trying to get admiration, likes, clicks, and that's sometimes a false measurement. So I think it's great to get a lot of impressions, a lot of hits, but I love what you all are doing right now, and that is delivering content.
Yes. So
really, I'm using a lot of psychological drivers in what I'm doing on a daily basis, but I'm doing this for good. I'm still naive after all these years. We are fighting for sustainable the transformation of this industry. Is this sustainable, what we are looking around? Guys, let's be honest. Look at this carpet. Is this sustainable? I mean, just to open one small piece of this problem, But I still believe naively that we need to do something. So what can you say about it? About sustainability itself, and doing good with the marketing. So
this industry will never be sustainable because it's not supposed to be. And I say that with all the respect in the world for it, because the whole point of an event is to drive an experience, and you can't deliver an experience without props, without everything along those lines. If you take away this carpet, it looks like a very dull, boring, cheap show, and everyone coming is not going to want to come back. The first thing that I said to Brad, besides the fact that they were pushing for sustainability and had the plastic badges, which you can see I'm not using, right? But I said, I love the fact that they went with a bright color carpet in Hall 9, because immediately it woke me up and I was like, this is pretty cool, this is fun. So that's why I think that the industry itself is never really going to be 100% sustainable, maybe 50%. There's ways to reuse the carpet, but then it comes back to the point of, okay, if your service contractor reuses that carpet, there's going to be stains on it. Yep. Is the show organizer okay with that? No, because they want their show to be perfect for everybody too.
I love the question about sustainability. If there's something that keeps me up at night, it's what is the world going to be like for our children and grandchildren? Yep. And it really it scares me. And we've known about this for a long time. The one thing about our industry is that in order to do what we do, we're on airplanes, we're doing all these things, but we're creating more awareness. So the fact that there's now discussions around travel is booming, all this, but what are we doing to lower that carbon imprint? And so I think, again, that there's, absolutely, I look around here and there's so many things we could do different. And, we're always on this kind of education. But I think we're also, while we're being somewhat unsustainable, we're creating more awareness that, okay, we got to fix this, and at least we're talking about it again. We were not talking about this during COVID,
Now, you open up, again, because this is Ljubljana Talks. We talk about everything that we want to talk about.
Be careful, you with us.
There you go, there you go.
Total detour of the topic we want to talk about. So.
And I'm going to detour it even more now.
Okay.
So there was an analysis that I believe it was over 80% of public employees are willing to take a lower pay, or have a pay which is not as much as they would get probably working in a private sector, but are offsetting their position by believing that their work actually contributes to creating a better place of where we live. So if we take an example of our industry, and we look at IMEX, it's a lot of destination. It's a lot of people that come from the public sector. It's a lot of people that believe that we can change the world for the better. Don't you think there's an opportunity there to kind of take that and drive that change?
I would love to know. The statistic you mentioned, the 80%, is that a global statistic? Is that?
It was a European.
European, okay, because I'm not sure how that would go.
Not a chance.
I don't think it would be that high in the United States. I don't think it would be 80%. So I was just more curious about that. Boy, that's a good question. That's a stump one. I think that we talk about it. There's awareness creation, but there's not a lot of action. And we got to get more actionable. Is there a different component we could be doing with this meeting or any meeting? But I think the issue is, I think it's all like, oh, let's do the right thing. But there's no created action for it. And that's where I think it's inconsistent globally. I think there are certain parts of the world, absolutely, they want to fix it, they want to do it, and there's other parts of the world that just talk about it. And so I think it's taking the doing the right thing, but actually doing the right thing. Yeah.
So Brad and I came up with this phrase. It's called "Truth is Kind." We're actually trademarking it. We're developing an entire series around it because I think people need to understand that when you speak the truth, it's not calling you out on something. It's not telling you that you're wrong. It's actually being kind and letting you know that you have to have these conversations in order to actually make a change or an impact. And so when I say these words that are about to come out of my mouth, it means it is with all the kindness in the world.
Okay.
There's a difference between being polled and saying you will do something and then actually doing it. You can say 50% or 80% people will take a 50% cut because they think that they are making... Or
they're working there.
So you can say that until they actually see it affect their bank account and they see it affect their actual personal life. And I guarantee you they will go back. Whether it's It's a cause that they think they're believing in or not.
No, but it's because it was a European statistic.
Yeah.
It was a part of a seminar we were doing because we were all asked to do these questionnaires, and we were looking at the results that we got in, and we could see that because we are a public company, right?
Yep.
Within our company, it was about, again, 88% of us basically said our main driver is the fact that we are trying to do something for the general good. And we all know that we're working in positions which are not paid as much as if we were working in the private sector.
Okay.
So that's
Got it.
just explain.
So it still goes back to what Brad said. There's a difference between saying and actually taking action. And this goes back to our other question that we talked about. Is this event sustainable? Are events in general actually going to be sustainable? They don't need to be 100% sustainable. Just as that statistic said, you just need to do your part. And if more people start doing your part, taking that action, then it globally makes a difference. That's it. So if this event is 20% sustainable, fantastic. If the next event is 25% and then everyone else tries to do 20%, that's a global impact.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This is a right approach. But coming back to other questions, about associations, we need to talk just a little bit about it, because that was the topic we need to talk. Are you happy with the associations as a source of information? What do you think about it? You are in the industry for a long time, so...
Truth is kind.
Truth is kind.
You want me to go?
You go first.
Okay, great. So associations are still acting like they were in 2018, 2017, but they've lost sight of their actual mission, which is to represent the individuals, because they're so focused on getting back their numbers of the event in 2018, instead of saying, we may not hit those numbers, but I guarantee we can give you better value for the people that show up to our event, and we're going to have all of that content year-round for you. That, to me, is where it needs to go, and it's going too slow again. It's almost like we need another kick in the butt.
And I would love if our industry associations, which we're all tied to, which of course speaks to all associations, we need to remove some words from our vocabulary. We need to stop saying "get back," "normal." What the hell is normal? Like, who gets to decide what normal is? And what drives me crazy is hearing the word 2019. What made 2019 the utopian year of our life? And it's like, and so when you
Horrible year, to be honest.
so when you focus on going back, normal, 2019, you're losing sight of what your mission and vision is. And we saw so much coming together during the pandemic. It also made every one of us reset ourselves as human beings. I think we're trying to do more wellness for ourselves now. Many of us lost people in our life because of it. So again, it goes back to the windshield. It's projecting forward and stop admiring the past.
Perhaps you could take that analogy and say it's like driving across a border. So we just got across a border. We're now in a different country, in a territory we've never been. The signs are different, we're off the highway. So we need to kind of pay more attention to where we're going, because let's say we don't want to go back, because I have a huge problem with everybody going around saying, 2019, blah, blah, blah.
Can't stand it.
2019 was one of the years that was the most, our industry, so in general, tourism as an industry was the most criticized for over-tourism, for expression that is now being highly debated, and let's not talk about over-tourism. Just like if we don't talk about it, the problem's not there. And I think associations have a huge problem, and that is that if we've been talking here with some really, really interesting, people that are coming from different segments of our industry, and they would say, the corporates want to do hybrid events. The corporates, there are certain trends and we need to embrace them. But in the associations business, we're still focusing on creating that 16,000, does it really bring the quality. I mean, it's the quantity versus quality conversation that we just don't want to have, because the business model of associations is, just like in so many other things in our industry, it's dated. And this is my question now.
Can I add one component, because I want to talk about the marketing of it, which is extremely lacking in the association world, and I mean that again with the utmost respect, but typically, and I'm going to use statistics, so 80-20, right? 20% are doing a fantastic job, but the 80% are not, because they focus on themselves. Marketing 101, you have to answer the question, what's in it for me? Which is why all of their membership is declining, because they can't answer that simple question, what's in it for me, for their actual members.
Exactly. So what's really interesting in some of the associations, I'm quite active in ICA and so on, so we work, Ljubljana is a very strong Congress destination, and we are so proud this year. Basically every conference that is taking place has larger numbers than what they anticipated. We're so happy about it, despite all the challenges that we might have and blah, blah, blah. But there's one thing that I think needs to be addressed exactly in this context. It's not just the marketing, but it's the business model. What are the alternative revenue streams that actually make sense as an alternative revenue streams for associations?
Yeah, it's a great question, and there's so much tied up in that, and there's so much focus on what the revenue that comes in, the operating revenue from events, sponsorship, that type of thing, and that's all changing. And so they do have to look at different ways, and I want to touch on something else. Associations are supposed to be serving the community, and one of the beautiful things that happened during virtual events, not hybrid, virtual, is for the first time there was accessibility around the world for people to attend events that they could never ever attend. And
democratization.
Absolutely. And my concern about, there's a lot of we could go an hour talking about revenue for associations, is don't forget, in a lot of cases there might have been a 15% spike in new first-time attendees, but they may have been members of the association for 10 years. And we got to be careful that we're not forgetting them again, because as we shut down, and get back to all live or not hybrid, and I think corporations are figuring this out. Corporations are saying, wait a minute, we accomplished a lot of our goals by strictly doing virtual or a major hybrid component. So, there's all kinds of non-dues kind of ways to talk about this, but again, I just want to say we got to remember who we're serving and why we're serving.
So there's dues, your membership, your exhibits, your events. Then there's non-dues, which some will categorize sponsorships in there, and then affinity programs to insurance things to everything. And so I'll give a shout out. So epIQ and CLI, we partnered with Terry Carden at Non-Dues-a-Palooza. It's a very small niche event, but it literally focuses on executive directors coming, discussing, and figuring out what other revenue streams the association can utilize so that we don't have to keep raising membership prices or keep saying the event booth space is now increasing. And so by diversifying those revenue streams from the different alternatives, they've been able to actually grow their membership because it's actually giving value and answering what's in it for me when they actually join. I don't know. So it's a shout out to her for that, but it's such a simple concept that I just don't know why people don't think about it more. They're so focused on one thing. Just open up, have a conversation.
I'm usually comment these things in a way that we have a high school of what is going on with Red Bull. Red Bull is actually the biggest event organizer in the world. Am I right?
I'm learning.
And it's hybrid for the last 20 years actually. So they know everything about it. They know everything about how to restream the content, how to reuse the content, what to do. You just watch, I don't know.
It's every sporting event too.
Every sporting event. So we don't need to look far actually. So everything is already actually here. But guys, let's close your eyes and dream about the perfect industry, what the perfect industry will look like,
So, I want to end on the optimist note, so I'll take this one first. Being the realist that I am, I don't think that there is an ideal or utopian world when it comes to associations, because it's not supposed to be. Right? We're not designed for that. We're designed to basically manifest our mission for our members. That's what we're designed to do. We're not there to create the happiness. We're not there to create this utopian society for them. We're there to give them value, and that's it. If I were to really look inward and say, what would that actually look like? It would be creating community, but understanding what community really is, and taking that and saying, my members are my community. The people that aren't my members are still my community. The people that are my events, my sponsors, all of them, they're my community. How do I give them value every day? And that's it. If you can just continue to answer that question, then you're automatically going to create the utopian future of associations. Optimist?
So I mostly agree with everything you said, and mostly. I think very simply, my utopia dream for our industry events is to actually create an environment of learning to come back, so you could come back, bring better quality of life to you and your family, and touch more. I'm going to tell a really quick story. So when I was younger and I was in this industry, my father was a factory worker. He didn't understand this industry. I was trying to explain it to him, and we're driving in the car through a cornfield in Illinois, and he says, I really still don't understand what you do, but I think what you do is you, as a meeting professional, you create special places for people to come and learn. And maybe one day, Brad, you'll create an environment of learning that might cure cancer. So it doesn't get more utopian than that.
Amazing.
This was a beautiful ending to this conversation because we are over time. And
No. We have some short questions.
So I just want to add one thing. One thing.
but no, I'll give you a challenge. So we will repeat this. And we will kind of, have a look at what we said today and what happened in the time. That's going to be the next one.
In 5 years' time, this entire industry is going to be disrupted again.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Cool.
But we would love to keep the conversation going with you. This has been awesome.
Yeah,
Amazing.
We're glad that you like
So
Ljubljana
what are the little
Talks.
questions?
So the real questions: beer or wine?
Wine. French Reds.
Oh yeah.
White wine, French Burgundy, white Burgundies.
Okay, mountains or the sea?
What's that?
Mountains or the sea?
What is that?
You want to live in the cabin in the woods, or you want to live in the ocean?
Oh no, woods. I already live in the woods. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Definitely in the woods. Mountains all the way.
Beach. Give me the beach.
That's
The
why
last one.
I never want to live with that.
Cooking or washing dishes?
Cooking. For sure.
Cooking.
Bill and Brad, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.